Now, what's that got to do with you? This is the environment in which your new governor will take office, in which we're struggling to emerge, and we're not quite there yet. So all over America in the state and federal races, this is about a tale of two stories in the background. And the Republican story goes something like this. And I gather from what the mayor just said that his opponent has adapted this to fit the facts of Connecticut. This is basically what you're saying to people everywhere. Okay, we left the country in one heck of a mess in January of 2009. We get why you fired us. But they had 21 whole months to get us out of the hole, and we're not out. And in failing to get us out of the hole, they spent too much money, gave us too much government. They're all a bunch of closet socialists, and you better stop them now before it's too late. Put us back in. Isn't that about what they're saying? Isn't that what they're saying in the Senate race? And our answer back is something like this. You're right, we're not out of the hole, but it was a real deep hole. And at least we did what our parents taught us to do when we get in the hole. We did stop digging, unlike them. And we put in place policies that will get us out of the hole. And all we're asking for is for you to give us a couple of years. You gave them 8 years to dig the hole, give us 4 years to get out, and we'll show you what America can do. So what does that mean in a governor's race? It means whatever the policy is in Washington, whatever happens Tuesday, how many jobs you get, what kind of jobs they are, where you go in the future will be determined in no small measure by the leadership and direction followed by the state. You just heard Dan say that Connecticut, while they grew wealthier and wealthier and wealthier in paper numbers, had both the richest people in America and some of the poorest cities in America because you lost employment for 20 years. Because there was not a definitive, smart state economic strategy that would put all kinds of people back to work and not leave you so dependent on the wealthiest people, but give you a balanced economy. Now, what do you need? You need 21st century jobs that will support a middle-class lifestyle. You need a good education and training system to make sure people can do those jobs. You need access to affordable health care, because one of the reasons that people went for so long without a pay increase is a lot of small businesses wanted to increase their employees' pay, and all the money was going to the health care premiums. After I left office, after inflation income on the day before the crash for families was $2,000 lower than it was the day I left office. Why? Because nobody got a raise, because we weren't creating any jobs. And after inflation, health care costs doubled. After inflation, college costs went up 75%. So you need jobs. You need to train and educate people for the jobs. You need affordable health care. And you need lean, effective government that doesn't charge people 1 penny more than you have to charge them, and that has a tax system that is competitive for the new jobs you're trying to get. That's what you need. Now, so here's my deal. You have to let me put my glasses on. Great thing about not being president anymore is I can say whatever I want. But if I write it down, I can't read it without my glasses. Okay, so he becomes mayor of Stanford. Everybody's losing jobs. The state's losing jobs. Stanford gained 5,000 new jobs when Dan Malloy was mayor. It was in the top 5 cities in America in Fortune 500 companies, but you also have a lot of small businesses growing. I think that's pretty good. And it was the first city in Connecticut to have universal free school for all of the kids, at a time when we know how important that is to learning. It was the #1 city in Connecticut in building affordable housing, which created a lot of different kinds of jobs for construction workers. Construction unemployment today is 25%. He also made a commitment to energy efficiency, to making the fight against climate change good economics by proving that you can do that. Now, let me tell you something. Construction unemployment nationwide is 25%. You can't build any more houses now to speak of. There's not much demand for commercial real estate. But if we made a statewide commitment in Connecticut to make every state building, every local building, every university building, every school building as energy efficient as possible, you can cut construction unemployment in half, lower your utility bills, increase the real net wealth of the schools and the colleges. And if you elect me governor, I'm going to help him do it in a way that does not cost 1 red cent for the colleges and the schools. I know how to do this. I do this work all over the world. So what did he do? He cut the power bills of the city of Stamford by $1 million. A save for taxpayers. Now, all these Tea Party people say they want taxes to go up. Stamford's population is going up. Stamford's economy is exploding. He kept the budget below the rate of inflation, which was always low, in spite of a huge increase in demand. Why? Because he knows what he's doing, that's why. This speech, I'm telling you folks, is a fact-free election. What does his opponent say about that? He only wants to talk about the jobs that Stanford lost in banking and finance when the financial collapse occurred and everybody lost jobs. He didn't have anything to do with the fact that nobody was minding the store with the federal regulators, that they let all this risk happen. He had utterly no control over that. All he could do was give his city thousands of good jobs. And they're still way ahead of where they would have been if he hadn't been there in the first place. By contrast, he has an opponent who says, vote for me, I'm a businessman, I know how to create jobs. What in fact he did, he's not the only person who did this, but he abused finance. Because all over America this happened. Companies that were capable of producing products and services that would survive in almost every market were repeatedly bought by people who had to borrow the money to buy the company. So he made a deal that to service the debt, he cut the cost of the company by cutting 1,000 employees. And he made $20 million. You heard that, what Dan said. So all these guys who did this went out and borrowed money and agreed to lay people off to make their debt service payments, took the cash out on the front end. By the time they got doing that, they no longer were able to produce what they were hired to produce at a competitive rate. The company filed for bankruptcy and 3,200 people lost their jobs. I think plus 5,000 is better than minus 3,200 any single day of the week. Look, this is not a complicated decision. I could go through all this other stuff, but I'm telling you, your next governor is either going to be a job creator or not. Your next governor will either know how to diversify your economy or not. Your next governor will know how to provide more services without raising the budget out of hand so your tax system becomes uncompetitive or not. There is no question. There's only one person who's ever done anything like that, and that's Dan Malloy. You've got to vote for him. This is not rocket science. Just like Connecticut, no matter what happens in the election, will have an economy that will be shaped largely by who you vote for governor. It is also true that whoever is governor will have his options expanded or constrained by what happens in the election. And so, since I'm at this university, I have to say a few things. Again, I am shocked at the obvious things which are not widely known because they're not being talked about. So I want to just tell you a couple of other things.